Come on. All right, so that screw is still being pretty finicky. This is coming off, and you want to be very careful and move very slowly here. Gonna push this screw through, spin this around. Hopefully you can take a look. What you're going to see is the controller ports at the front have a ribbon cable, and we're going to want to be very careful here. So here are the controller ports in the front. We want to spin this around. Actually, my lid popped right off pretty easily. So if you're going to do work on the controller ports, you want to be really careful here because of ribbon cables and whatnot. We're just going to put the lid aside. Just power button, the reset, the flap. Of course, it's all plastic. You take a look at it. If you haven't seen this before, pretty basic stuff. We're going to put this aside. But this is what we wanted to get at the entire time. So to find out if this is one chip or not, we're going to actually have to get behind these metal shield plates here. So let's do that step by step. This is the release mechanism for the games. It's just held in with a bar that sits in one side over here and clips in here, and there's a little spring mechanism. So all you want to do is pull this bar out a little bit. The spring mechanism will fall off to the side, and then you can pick it back up. We'll just keep this together and move it over to the side for now. This here is the power switch for the unit. And on the other side is the restart switch. Now, if you're following along in the cleaning guide for this, it's a good idea to check all of your connectors as you go along. There's slight chance, but you might need to clean some of these. Maybe you spilt some soda, heaven forbid, on your console. And so you're going to want to make sure you check all these things. Like if you have a sticky restart button, you're obviously going to have issues with your console black screening because it's going to be constantly restarting. So you're going to want to check that out. The best thing to do to clean your Super Nintendo motherboard and parts, especially the connector here, is to just use some 90+% rubbing alcohol with a toothbrush and give everything a good scrub. I'm going to be showing you how to do that in the cleaning guide as well, so stick around for that. So again, the one chip is underneath this plate right here. So to access this, and this is the front of the console, in the front we can see the controller ports here with the board, ribbon cable to the motherboard. We're going to want to first remove the power switch because it's in the way of a screw that we need to get at, and we're just going to put that aside. Be really careful. You don't want to tear these cables for the power switch that go to the motherboard. So you can just gently put it aside, which is what I'm going to do. This very simply unplugs from the motherboard up here too. So if you're really worried about it, you can just unplug it. Just be really gentle with it, of course. And then we're going to use our screwdriver and get this plate off. So let's do that right now. So there you go, you remove two screws. We can just put this aside. Might actually take it out. Let's see here. So you just grab it, give it a little bit of a wiggle. You want to be careful because it is attached to some pins on the motherboard. But just like that, super simple. It comes out, and we can put this aside. This is also a really good time once you start taking your Super Nintendo apart to inspect all of the, the solder points and things like that, the capacitors. It's pretty common as these get older and older, like this is about 30 years old now, especially with capacitors, that they start to give out. Now, if you're having other issues with your Super Nintendo where you're black screening, that is a whole nother bag of nuts, of course. It could be a lot of things. It can be CPU, it can be the graphics processing chip on it. And of course, there's not much you can do if you have a bad CPU on your Super Nintendo other than replace the unit or solder a chip on it, which is really difficult to come by nowadays. You're pretty much best to just replace the entire console. But we'll keep going here. We want to get underneath this plate. All these screws are the same, by the way, so you don't have to really worry about them getting mixed up. For the plates here anyways, of course they have the security screws for the outside of the console. Those are separate, they're different types of screws, and that you will need the game tool for. All right, this is just a tin plate, so we can lift this up, take a look at it. Nothing too fancy about it. So we have that front metal plate off, and as you can see, bring this up a little bit closer. I'll try to focus that in for you. So this is not a one-chip console. No loss for me. I love this console. This is my childhood console. But if you are looking for the crispiest of pixels, you're going to want to have a one-chip console. I can go over that near the end of the video, the breakdown of what the different chips are, the different variants inside of the Super Nintendos. If you're looking to pick up a one chip so you know exactly what it is that you want to find, second hands on a Kijiji, a Craigslist, or eBay, what have you. But for now, I'm going to keep tearing this apart, and we're just going to take a closer look at this motherboard.